Good morning, guys, and welcome to day 11. Today is April the 6th, Monday, and you're looking at today's slide with me on my screen. I've already got the grade cam links available for you here. And in our Google Meets today, I don't know that I'll have a whole lot to announce, but we'll still meet and I'll take your questions, and who knows what will develop until then. Your video for instruction is pretty simple, so I want to do a little demonstration, really, using my camera. So let me close this out for the moment, and here we go. So my question is, let's look at that door behind me. I'm facing it pretty square, and I have two questions to ask you, okay, to think about. Now, this is all about perspective regarding, this is for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Something that all of you can think about in your drawing as you progress. So, and that is this: what shape does a door make? I want you to think about that for a moment. What shape does a door make? Okay, and I'd be willing to bet that most people will say, well, a rectangle. It's not square; it's taller. And so, when you think of a door, I asked you that question: what shape does a door make? Now, that's key there because I chose my words very carefully. All right, you look at that door, and it looks rectangular. Even the decorative things right here, as they go, it looks like a rectangle. So here's a follow-up question, okay? And this is just designed to make you think about how we talk and what things actually mean when we say them. And that's this: what shape is a door? Okay, and the intellectual or the academic difference between the two questions is profound. The first one asks you, what shape does a door make? That question has to do with perspective. The other one has to do with what it is, what we know it is. Our brain thinks, really, most of our brains think two-dimensionally. So the idea that a door is a rectangle comes into play when we ask the other question, which is, what shape does a door make? So if you're thinking rectangle for the first question, what shape does a door make? That's only true less than 1% of the time. And let me show you what I mean by that. Okay. So, and some of you are starting to get it because you're already thinking about perspective. But the idea is that when the average person thinks about a door, they think about the verticals and they think about the horizontals. Okay. Because as we face a door, this is comfortable and this is what we know. And our brain usually tries to simplify, and we'll say, well, there's your door. That's what it makes, and that looks like a door. And you think, yeah, okay. But what if I want to draw a door that is not within the realm of this perspective, but instead the door is now open? How do you transfer that as an artist to a two-dimensional space? Well, you have to ask the question, what shape does that open door make? And the answer cannot be a rectangle, because if it is, the door will not appear to be open. It will appear to be closed. So let's say our floor line here at the bottom of the original door. I'm going to just go across here. I'm going to give myself a little space like this. And I'm going to start with the same line at the same height, roughly, about like that. Now, two things need to happen. For you to draw in perspective, there are two rules to follow. One is the closer something gets to you, the larger it appears. And the farther something appears to be away, the smaller it appears. Okay. Now, this happens to our door here when it opens in two ways. If this side of the door is closer, then it's going to become larger this way and this way, both. And since it's getting closer and it's swinging on hinges, it's also going to move inward. Okay, so what you have to do is take the end of the door, which would have been here, when it's open, and move it in and make the side of the door taller. And now the shape that it transfers to, in other words, the shape that the door is making, is not a rectangle. It cannot be. The way the artist has to think is what shape is it making now? And that shape has got to be something close to a trapezoid, or in some cases, depending on your perspective, maybe a parallelogram even. And then, if I measure and I go, well, that's that wide, so I've got to go about to here. That's where the door frame still remains behind the door to create perspective. And now it looks like the door is swinging open. Not because the paper is 3D, but because the artist, me at this point, has changed the shape to what the door is actually making. So it's not so much whatever you're drawing. You're not looking for what the object is or what your brain thinks it knows it is, but instead, you're looking for the shapes that are being made by the object instead of what it is. And that is how artists create the illusion of 3 dimensions. Okay. Now you can use this. Oh, and by the way, to determine, well, how do I determine these angles? Well, in part, they're determined by where the corners of the door frame end up, but you could also determine that using a vanishing point, which if I continued these angles to where they converge on a point that exists right there, which could be my vanishing point. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. So think of how this might apply to the shapes involving anything. Even organic tree limbs or things like that. You cannot afford to go with what your brain tells you it is, but instead forget the fact that it's a door and focus on the shape the object makes. And if you can transfer that into a flat shape, then you've created the illusion of depth almost inadvertently or by accident. Okay? So, something to think about when you're drawing, either today, it depends on how far you are in your final copy, or your next drawing that you start. Guys, have a good day. Draw for about 10 to 15 minutes. Write a sentence about what you did in GradeCam and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.